everyone, and welcome back again to the Cloud Show. We have another exciting episode today. I'm going to talk to Foyin Olajide Bello. This is a difficult name, I apologize. She is a solutions architect with Avanade Ireland, and she's an expert in AI, and that's what we're going to talk about today, which is going to be so fascinating. So as an expert in AI, you get to explain AI to people and try to make people understand what AI is and what it can do. So explainable AI has some emerging challenges to it. And that is what I will be covering today with the guest star of the show, Foyin. Welcome. Hello, Foyin.
Hi.
Hi. Very welcome to the show. It's nice to have you with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to
Absolutely my pleasure. Definitely. So AI is a wonderful topic. And before we dive into that, I want to know a little bit more about you and about you work at Avanade?
Yes, I do.
In Ireland.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm based out of Dublin.
Based out of Dublin. I have never been to Dublin. I hope to get to go someday. It'll be fun.
Nice, nice. It's really lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely here and the lovely
Yeah.
weather too.
Right. And as a solutions architect, tell us, what is it that you do on a daily basis?
So as a solution architect, my main goal is to help and support our clients along their digital transformation journey. So this cuts across various tools that we use today, from Microsoft 365 in its entirety to the Power Platform to Microsoft 365 Copilot to
Yep.
Viva, just basically ensuring that whatever it is that our clients are trying to achieve,
Mm-hmm.
I'm supporting them on that journey and making sure that they achieve that and even more in the best way.
Of course, of course. Yeah. No, I'm sure that is a great big lot. And then very recently, everything just had made a huge pivot. Everything just, if you're not talking about AI, you're not doing it right. Right?
I know.
I know, right? Now everyone has to talk about AI. AI is the thing. And so you, as an expert, will as well be in the same situation. You have to now talk about AI.
Yes, 100%. And it's interesting. I was in a workshop a while ago, and I was saying to my audience,
Hmm.
AI isn't new. I think the first time I worked with AI was almost when 2012,
Yeah.
when there was we had a model for optical character recognition, and we wanted it to like scan the forms and pick out certain values from certain places and throw it into a DB. And I think it's the Gen AI that's really caught the big attention now of everyone. It's certainly something that we need to talk about and keep talking about.
Yeah, AI is hardly new. We were talking about AI, or there were movies about AI taking over the world in the 80s or something like that, right? This is not at all anything new. But
Yeah.
it's fascinating that it's caught on in such a huge, a popular wave right now. Do you have any idea why this is?
I think the reason why it's getting such a great wave is the whole Gen AI, the fact that it retains context. I think that's the big thing as the user started to get use tools like ChatGTP, and the fact
Right.
that it could kind of answer your questions in a
Mhm.
very interesting and different way, and keep the context of that conversation as you go along. So I would say that really created that
Yeah.
differential for
Yeah,
people
that
as
makes
they interact
sense.
with it. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me as well. I definitely agree. So the fact that you can appear to have a conversation with it, and it remembers what you just said and responds accordingly. It's a back and forth thing, as compared to just writing a question into it, get some good results. But it's you ask the next question, it doesn't remember what you just said.
Exactly. So it's that conversational AI, that context that was the big differential in this one, and everyone just kind of jumped on it because it was really cool.
That's absolutely interesting. I'm trying to figure this out in my brain as you say it. It sounds like you're incredibly spot on. Now, so given that we're now having something like a conversation with an AI, and we are using it in such a massive, more all businesses want to have something AI. It's like it's essentially whatever product we had before now with AI, right? AI is a solution, and companies are going out to try to find the problem. So what do you do to advise your clients about AI now?
Yeah, I think so. Our approach at Avanade is, first of all, AI first means people first. That's one of the important principles that we have that is governing us as an organization. And one of the things that we help our clients to do is ensure that the foundations are set right. Right. For example, if you want to get started with Microsoft 365 Copilot, you need to ensure that some housekeeping is in place, right? Like your SharePoint sharing of documents on your SharePoint,
Right.
OneDrive, like oversharing needs to be taken care of. So that ensures that once Microsoft 365 is in use and people start searching, they don't start seeing what they shouldn't be seeing or accessing the documents that they shouldn't access. So Microsoft doesn't um Microsoft doesn't take our data, but all of the security around a tool like Microsoft 365 is relying heavily on the existing, security and data structure in place in the organization. So a lot of organizations haven't
Ah,
gotten that right yet, but they want to start using AI. So it's about ensuring that all of those things are in place and they're putting AI on top of that.
that's an important area because so technically, when a company wants to use AI, they're mostly interested in using it together with their own data. They have a lot of data, and if only we could have a conversation with that data, if only we can do something really smart with AI, with all the massive amounts of data that we have. Um, Now you have to take care of that data in such a way that you take it and make it available for the AI to train the AI with your data. Is that so far appropriate?
Yes, yes. It's
Right.
two things. It's either you buy or you build. So you can
Right.
buy tools like Microsoft 365 Copilot
Mhm.
or any of the Copilots, Copilot for security, Copilot for sales, in Dynamics, in Power Platform. Copilot is present everywhere, in all of Microsoft 365 apps,
Yeah,
or in
yeah,
all of Microsoft's applications.
yeah.
Or you say, you know what, I want something different, something unique, and then you can build your own, leveraging some of the
Right.
models available in Azure.
Yeah, right. So you can build your own AI, you can build your own co-pilots, but you can also use the ones that exist. There
Yeah.
are so many that nobody can count them. But given that you want to take them and point them to your company's data, and there where I understand that you have to first go in and ensure that that the company, the client, is not oversharing data, or they're sharing the appropriate data, making it available to the AI, but not data that they don't want the AI to know about, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So it's just important. Yeah, those are. I mean, that's one of the many things that needs to be done. But that's what we've seen as the most, well, one of the most important things you need to ensure
that
before you
makes
start to enable tools like Microsoft 365 Copilots.
yeah, because you don't want maybe anyone to start suddenly reading the personnel files, and you want to make sure that those things are in appropriately available to only the HR department, probably,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because otherwise
100%.
things can go really, really bad.
Yeah, another important thing is responsible AI. And like for us at Avanade, we ensured that everyone was trained in responsible AI and what that means for us as an organization. So there's education element as well,
Hmm.
because like organizations can say, "Oh no, we're not going to use AI in our organization." That's fine, but the truth is, you never can tell if your employees are going to chat GTP, right, to find information on their own after work hours with their on their own PCs. So it's important to get everyone trained and help them to understand what responsible AI means for your organization, what ethical AI means for your organization, what is
Right.
appropriate and what is not. So that helps them to understand, okay, this is how our organization is approaching the use of AI in our business, and then they can, use it appropriately. So creating that guidance is also important. Otherwise, we're leaving the employees in the workplace to kind of figure it out themselves. And as you know, ethics, people can define ethics in very different ways.
Yes, yes, they can indeed, and so I'm thinking about all those. This is a huge topic area. I'm sure you can talk about this as an expert. I'm very sure you can talk about this for days. Given just a few moments or the length of this conversation, ethical and responsible AI for the learner. What is this like more? What's it about really? Um,
And so
like, what
I
happens if
like
you're being unethical or if you're not being responsible? What happens then?
well, that then depends on the policy of your organization. So
Yeah,
it's mainly around three things, I would say. The first thing is the principles. There are principles around responsible use of AI and ethical use of AI. So, example, making sure that it's bias free, ensuring that it's trustworthy, it's reliable, there's accountability in place,
right,
all of that. And then there is the practices. So you have the principles, but how do we actualize this? How do we bring these principles to life? So you start to talk about the organization having an AI ethics board, the organization having the developers having the ethics by design principle, where ethics doesn't come as an aftermath. It's kind of right there embedded in their thought pattern as they start to build and develop the AI models. What else? You talk about monitoring. So how do we monitor? How do we check that whatever AI tool we're developing is actually meeting this standard? So those are some of the
right.
practices that you can bring. And then we have the standards. So the standards are all of the policies that we have in place
Yeah,
around that, like from ISO, from IEEE, that starts to say, okay, this is how what this is what privacy means. This is what this the use of AI policy means. We also have the EU Act around AI. So those are the standards that then help
right.
organizations to shape their internal policies.
So as an organization, you want to make sure that you abide by the standards and use them in the appropriate way so that you can be ethical and responsible about the things. So, for example, I'm from Sweden, and we always like to make jokes about our neighboring country, Norway, and they make jokes about us. But if I have a if I have a data source which is heavily biased against Norwegian people, and I put that AI available to the world, it's going to say bad things about Norway, which is that's not friendly. It's maybe not ethical or good, or maybe not even the intended way, but you have to understand that if you train your data with biased or your AI with biased data, your AI will be biased.
100%.
So there's so many things here to talk about AI. I'm very glad that we get to do this. But so um, fixing the data sounds like an easy thing, right? Whatever, fixing the data and making sure we're behaving appropriately and without bias and ethically. Very important areas. And then what we do. So you want to send you want to get a client started using AI. So what happens?
Oh well, then it kind of depends on where they want to go and what their needs are from
Yeah.
there, and then we start to define the engagements
Yep.
afterwards.
Yeah. So you have to like sit down and figure out what is it you're actually going to use AI for.
Yeah, what problems do you want to solve?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes AI may not be the answer. It may be automating the process. And
Yeah.
sometimes they may need to build rather than buy because their needs are very niche. So it really depends on what the objective is.
Yeah. Are you often at this point in history? Are you often feeling that you are getting sort of vague requests from the customers? We need some AI because we have to have AI, and they don't really know why, right? Are you
No,
seeing that?
no, not at all. They are very clear on what they want and they know
They
exactly.
are, yeah.
Yes, yes, so far They
Okay.
are, and they know exactly what it is that they want and where they want to get to. But it's just about shaping it to decide how best can we meet the requirements. So
That sounds promising, actually. I'm a little bit surprised there. I thought you were going to say that, oh my God, yes, some people have no idea.
well, maybe we have that class, those class of people as well, but not too many. A lot of them are kind of have a relatively solid idea of where they want to get to with
Uh-huh.
this.
So it's all about being, if I can sort of conclude what you have been saying here, if I can summarize, being figuring out the data access. Do we share the right data, and how do we give access to the data, and do we have the appropriate data available? Is it unbiased, or can we train? Can we remove bias? Can we make sure that we are sharing and using this data ethically, and then moving forward with actually creating, or either using a co-pilot or using an existing AI, or creating something of our own, which then gives us the power of AI in our business. All right, so there is one more thing we wanted to talk about, or the thing we really needed to talk about today: explainable AI. We've been talking about ethics and data and many things. Now you say that there is something called explainable AI. Can you explain to us what that is?
Thank you. So, explainable AI is the ability for AI to tell us why it comes up with its conclusions and the answers we get. So we've seen that that's really where people are interested in, the software engineers, the developers. They want to know, why did you come up with this answer? What's the reasoning behind it? Why have you told me this should be white, not black? So that's the really where it's going to, and it's easy enough with the decision tree type of very simple and straightforward AI models. But when you start to get to deep learning, then it gets complex, because the technology, the thinking and behind it is very advanced. And then it starts to say, okay, the developers and the engineers, ML engineers, start to think about, how do we explain this in an easy enough way for people to understand? So the emerging risks and trend here is be speaking between, do I make this AI model extremely complex, thereby making it very efficient for the users and the bots. However, it's creating that black box where it's becoming very difficult to explain in simple terms the reasoning behind the answer it gives? Or do I make this model simpler, where it can explain but may not give the quality of responses that you will get with an extremely complex model? So there's a potential trade-off in the model complexity, complexity and explainability.
Right, right. So explainable AI, what you need to, like, you need to help the user of the AI understand where the information came from.
Yes, is meeting the challenge of transparency and explainability in the
Right.
AI models, helping the users of the models to be able to ask, why are you thinking this way? Where is this answer coming from? What is the reasoning behind this response you have
Hmm.
given me? So it's to eradicate the black box and create that transparency where people can understand the reasoning behind the model. So that's what explainable AI is. But then you have the emerging risks, where the more complex the model is, especially deep learning models, the more difficult it is
Right.
to explain in simple terms. So it's kind of creating that potential trade-off where developers are trying to decide, okay, do we make it simpler and then it's easy to explain and the transparency is there 100%, or do we
Right.
go all the way where the model is very complex, gives us very high quality answers, but then it's not really able to explain in simple terms why and the reasoning behind it?
Oh, wow. That's such a fascinating topic. Wow. I think we could talk all evening about this very interesting facet of AI. So, explainable AI is an important thing to also have in mind, whether or not you can explain what the AI, how the AI came up with the information it came up with, or if it's actually very complicated to explain that, and you lose transparency, and basically you get an answer, but you don't know why. Oh, wow. Fascinating. Thank you so much for coming to the Cloud Show today to talk to us about this, Foyin. This has been a very wonderful conversation. I really appreciate it. So I want to have you back sometime to talk more about AI for sure. Anyway, thank you for today. It is time to go. And thank you, audience, for being on the Cloud Show. And I'll see you again next time.
Thank you.